Hello my dear students, welcome to Crack Academy, and we are continuing with Animal Kingdom, the last part of Animal Kingdom. So Animal Kingdom part 6. So let us start with the new topic, that is amphibians. So today we are going to start with the superclass which is known as tetrapoda. What do you mean by tetra? Tetra means 4. Poda means the limbs. So, if the animals have 2 pair or 4 limbs in total, they are known as tetrapods. And the superclass is known as tetrapoda. In the superclass tetrapoda, the first class we are going to discuss is class Amphibia. So all of you must have heard about amphibians. What are amphibians? Which live on land also, which can go in water also, right? So such animals which are spending their life both terrestrial also and at aquatic level also, they are known as what? Amphibians. The name Amphibia itself means, what does the name Amphibia means? Amphi means dual, bia means life, dual life. What type of dual life they are showing? They are showing a dual life which is called amphibious lifestyle. Amphibious lifestyle. So what is amphibious lifestyle? It means they can live in both terrestrial as well as aquatic environments, right? So the name Amphibia, dual life. What type of habit they are showing? Amphibious habit they are showing, living in both terrestrial as well as in aquatic life. If I say that where will you find these amphibians? Are they found in very cold countries or very cold climatic conditions, or they are found on the snow-clad mountains? The answer is no. These amphibians will be found in those countries which have warm climatic conditions, to be specific, tropical or subtropical. Tropical regions or subtropical regions, and those regions which have wetlands. What do you mean by wetlands? What are wetlands? Okay, such areas where land is connected to a water body. Such areas are known as wetlands. Since amphibians have to spend their life half on the terrestrial environment, half in water, so they need the wetlands. And do you know one thing, that these amphibians are now at the verge of extinction? Why is it so? Why they are the most endangered type of animals now? Why they are on the verge of extinction? See, with the increasing human population, what we are doing, we are filling up the wetlands. We are filling up the wetlands and constructing what? We are constructing buildings, factories over there. So where will they go? How will they complete their life cycle? So human being is thinking only of himself, not about other species. So we must keep in mind that they are very, very important for us. They play major role in the food cycles, food webs. So if amphibians are lost, then it can be a great thing of danger. So we must not fill up the wetlands and allow them to survive, right? Okay. Now, are they warm-blooded or cold-blooded? Are they warm-blooded or cold-blooded? So they are cold-blooded animals. We have already studied about cold-blooded animals. What are they? What are cold-blooded animals? Cold-blooded animals are those whose body temperature is not constant. It will change with changing environment. So variable. Okay. So cold-blooded animals. If we see the body of amphibians, okay, have you seen a frog or a toad? You must have seen. Frog, everyone must have seen. So if you see the body, how is the body like? It is a head and then there is a trunk. Okay, so basically in amphibians, body is mainly divided into two regions. One is called what? Head, and other part is known as what? Trunk, right? And few may also possess tail. Not all. Few may possess tail. So basically the main type of body division is what? Head, trunk, and few may possess tail. Now, since they are tetrapoda, so how many pair of limbs should they possess? So two pair of limbs. Okay, four limbs. Two pair means four limbs. Tetrapoda, two pair of limbs. Now, how do these amphibians respire? What are the ways of gaseous exchange they show? So there are variety of amphibians, right? And everyone shows a different type of mechanism. If we see, so some may possess what? Some may possess lungs. So some may possess lungs. Some can have a buccopharyngeal cavity through which respiration is done. Buccopharyngeal cavity, mouth. So respiration by mouth like aperture. Then some can respire, some can do the gaseous exchange by their moist skin. So their skin remains moist and easily the gases can diffuse in and out, right? So through skin. And gills can also be seen, and gills are present at least in the larval stages of the amphibians. So the larval stages of amphibians, they resemble fishes in having gills. So gills present at least in which stages? Larval stages. Remember this, right? So the four type of respiratory organs that can be used for gaseous exchange in amphibians. One is lungs, second buccopharyngeal cavity, third skin, and fourth gills, right? Now in fishes, the heart was two-chambered. Here the heart has become three-chambered, right? So this is an evolutionary development. The heart has become three-chambered, and this three-chambered heart has how many auricles and how many ventricles? So two auricles and one ventricle is present. Two auricles and one ventricle is present. In such type of heart, there is a mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. Oxygenated blood means the blood which is filled with oxygen, the good type of blood. Deoxygenated blood means which carry carbon dioxide. So there is a mixing. If there is a mixing, it doesn't give a good type of energetically active life. Okay, so they are not very energetically active, and they go mostly for hibernation, estivation. Hibernation means summer sleep, winter sleep, because due to this default, what do you mean by mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood? Their body cannot maintain a constant temperature. They become cold-blooded, and so they go for long winter sleeps, long summer sleeps, and some come out during the monsoon season for breeding purposes. So this is one of the drawback of mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. Coming to the skin of amphibians. So if you look at amphibian, how does its skin look like? The skin can be smooth in some, smooth skin, can be rough in some, but the skin is always moist. The skin can be either smooth or rough. If you touch it, it can be either smooth or rough, but it is always moist. Why is the skin moist? What is keeping the skin moist? So there are present so many type of glands in the skin which help the skin maintain a moist type of condition, right? So the skin is moist due to presence of special type of glands which keep it moist, right? So the skin smooth or rough, but it is moist. Now, are there scales present? What does NCERT says? NCERT gives a straight line. Scales are absent. In amphibians, scales are absent. This is NCERT line. But there are some exceptional cases where scales can be seen, but they are not seen on the skin. They are seen below the skin. So if scales are present also, the scales can be present where? They are present below the skin, right? So remember this point. So scales absent, and if scales present, they are hidden beneath the skin. So hide beneath the skin. Okay. Now there is a very interesting type of structure which is seen in these amphibians. What is this structure known as? This structure is known as cloaca. What do we call this structure as? We call this structure as cloaca. What is this cloaca? Cloaca is like a common chamber where alimentary canal will open, then the urinary tract will also open, and then the reproductive tract will also open. That means this is the cloaca where alimentary canal will pour the substances, then urinary tract will pour the urine, and then the genital organs or the reproductive tract. So they are opening commonly in a common chamber called cloaca, and this cloaca further opens to the outside environment by a aperture called cloacal aperture. Cloacal aperture. Very important point, something unique, and you have to remember every unique thing because this is coming in exams, right? Okay. So the alimentary canal, the urinary tract, and the reproductive tract all are opening in a common chamber. What is that common chamber known as? It is known as cloaca. And how is cloaca opening to the outside environment? By cloacal aperture. Am I clear about this? Okay. Now, let us see that do amphibians have ear? Now, see, this is your external ear. You can see it from outside. This is external ear. This is called pinna. This is called what? Pinna. Then, if you go inside, middle ear, and then internal ear. So, ear has three major type of divisions: external ear, pinna, then middle, and then inner ear. But in amphibians, if we see, like we are the highest of the animals, na? So we mammals bear this external ear called pinna. Okay. So this pinna like thing is not present in amphibians, not present in reptiles also, and not present in birds also. Where is this pinna type of thing seen? It is seen only in mammals. So remember, external ear will not be seen. There is no external ear. But there is a membrane. Okay, this thing is not present, but there is a membrane which is covering middle ear, and that membrane is known as tympanum. What is that membrane known as? See, if we see the ear, then no external ear is seen. No external ear is seen. But the outer membranous structure is seen. That outer membranous structure is called tympanum. What do we call that structure as? Tympanum. This tympanum is covering middle ear, and if we go further, then we can also see the internal ear, right? So no external ear, but tympanum is present. After tympanum, middle ear. After middle ear, the internal ear, right? So coming to the eyes. How are the eyes of amphibians? Eyes of amphibians. Have you seen a frog eyes? Huh? What happens? The nictitating membrane, it can cover the entire eyeball fully and then go back. Right? It looks very beautiful. So, there is a nictitating membrane. Nictitating membrane. This nictitating membrane is well developed. See, we have like nictitating membrane like structures over here, but they are not every time like opening and closing like a shutter on our eyes. But here it can happen. Well developed nictitating membrane is seen, right? So well developed nictitating membrane is seen in the eyes, and of course eyelids are present. Eyelids are also present, right? So some unique type of eyes. How do reproduction occurs? So if we say that in amphibians mostly the sexes are separate, mostly. Okay, there are few exceptions. Sexes are otherwise separate. That means they are unisexual, male frog, female frog. Okay, and the males do not have any copulatory organ. There is no copulatory organ like of thing in males. They lay eggs. They lay eggs, and fertilization is occurring externally. That means for breeding, they are not staying on the terrestrial environment. For breeding, they will go into the water, release their gametes in the water, and there should be synchrony. What do you mean by synchrony? That males and females, they should release their gametes at the same time. Only then fertilization will occur. If male is like releasing gametes on Sunday and females are releasing gametes on some other day or some other month, will fertilization be successful? No. So there should be synchrony. That means at the same time, gametes should be maturing at the same time in male body also, in female body also, and released also at the same time. Then the fertilization will be successful. So fertilization occurs in water. Such type of fertilization is called external fertilization. And for breeding purposes, these amphibians are going into water. So for breeding purposes, these amphibians are going into water. Gametes will be released in water. Eggs will be fertilized. Eggs will be formed in water. And their larval forms will also spend life in water. And then when they change into adult, when they metamorphosize into adult, then they can come on the terrestrial environment also, right? Their larval forms, they show what? They show metamorphosis. Larval forms, they are showing what? They are showing metamorphosis. Let us see reproduction and development in frog. So frog is the most common type of amphibian. Everybody knows who is frog. Okay, let us see the reproduction and development in frog. Okay, so pay attention on the screens. Okay, here this is a young frog. We will start with the young frog. This young frog, it came on the land. So this is terrestrial environment. Terrestrial environment. And this young frog came from water on the terrestrial environment. Then it became adult frog. Adult frog age is around 3 years. So adult frog age is around 3 years. So within the time span of 3 years, a young frog can change into an adult frog, right? Now, this adult frog, both males and females, will come into water. They will come into water for copulation and laying the fertilized eggs. So, they are showing which type of reproduction here. They are showing asexual reproduction. Sorry, they are showing sexual reproduction over here. Okay, so sexual reproduction, release of gametes, synchrony between the gametes, and then laying the fertilized eggs. And these eggs, can you see over here? These eggs, they are laid in masses. These fertilized eggs, they start developing. Within the eggs, you can see organ formation starts, and this larval-like structure is starting forming. Then the egg hatches. Here the egg is hatching and it changes into a free swimming larva. So this is a tadpole larva. It is a free swimming larva. Free swimming larva. Tadpole larva. This tadpole now develops into frog. And can you see a tail-like structure in the tadpole larva? Can you see a tail-like structure? Yes, it is seen, but it disappears. See, in adult, it disappears. In young frog, attach and disappears in the adult frog. So, such type of development is very usual in these amphibians. Am I clear? So, adult frog, male and female frog, they reach water for copulation. Then eggs, fertilized eggs show development of larva. Then larva is released from the eggs. Larva spend some time. Larva shows typical fish-like structures, having gills, and it also shows a tail-like structure. Then it starts developing into frog, and as soon as the young frog-like body is formed, they come out on the terrestrial environment again. Am I clear with this? Then, we have discussed about the tympanum part. What was tympanum? It was an outer membrane which was covering the middle ear. Okay, can you see over here? Can you see over here? This part, this membranous part. This is called tympanum. Tympanum. And this tympanum covers middle ear. So after tympanum, middle ear will start, and after middle ear, internal ear will be seen, and that will be seen inside the body. Outside you can see only tympanum, right? Am I clear? Okay. Now, some more points you have to remember for your competition. Let us see what are the points which you will not forget for your competition. So, here are some exceptions. There is a amphibian. That amphibian is called salamander. Okay, I will show you a salamander photo also. So, what is that amphibian known as? It is known as salamander. Then, there is another one, Ichthyophis. Then, in these two, salamander and Ichthyophis, what is the unique thing? They show internal fertilization. They show internal fertilization. That means fertilization is not occurring externally, it is not occurring in the water, it is occurring inside the body of the female. So, salamander and Ichthyophis, fertilization is internal exception to all other amphibians which are showing external fertilization. Salamander is viviparous also. What do you mean by viviparous? It gives birth to young ones, right? So, it gives birth to young ones. So, it is not laying fertilized egg. It is directly giving birth to the young ones, right? So, these points can be there in your competitive exams. Then, some important names which are given in NCERT. Let us take a look, then I will show you the photos. Buffo is known as the toad. So there are two things. एक होता है मेंढक, एक होता है डड्डू. So that toad is the daddu thing. It's larger than the frog, different type of color and somewhat different type of look. Frog is like, it is like greenish brown in color and smaller in size as compared to toad. So, Buffo is the toad. Rana tigrina, it is our frog. Then, who is Hyla? Who is Hyla? Hyla is a tree frog and it is found where? It is found in the tropical rain forest. Hyla. Hyla, the tree frog, found in tropical rainforest. Then Salamandra. It is a salamander who shows the internal fertilization and is viviparous also. Then this is a very important question. It is the NEET previous year question. Pay attention. This Ichthyophis. It is a limbless amphibian. No limbs. No limbs in Ichthyophis, and this came in your NEET exam. Limbless amphibian is Ichthyophis. All are the members of which class? All are the members of class Amphibia. So let us see some famous superstars of class Amphibia. Okay, so pay attention on your screens. So here we can see Ichthyophis, limbless amphibian. So can you see any type of limbs in it? दिख रही है टांगे इसकी? नहीं है ना? Can you see the worm-like body, snake-like body? Huh? It is an amphibian, but it is showing a worm or snake-like body and no limbs. Limbless amphibian, Ichthyophis. This is Salamandra. This is what? Salamandra. What was it showing? Internal fertilization, yes. It was showing internal fertilization. Then this is the toad and this is the frog. Buffo is the toad. Can you see the skin pattern rough? And the size is large. And can you see this frog? It has moist skin. Compared to toad, it has more moist skin and a different type of color. It is like a dull colored thing, this toad. It is like a vibrant colored thing. Rana tigrina, the frog. So these were some famous amphibians. After amphibians, let us go to the another class and let us just fastly recap from the NCERT also. Okay. So all of you are having your NCERT books with you. Yes. Okay. Let us see what is NCERT telling us about class Amphibia. So as the name indicates, amphi means dual, bio means life. We have studied amphibians can live in aquatic environment also, terrestrial environment also. This is clear. Most of them have two pair of limbs. So there are two pair of limbs, right? Body is divisible into head and trunk. Okay. Sometimes tail can be seen but not in all. Tail can be present in some, not most, some, few. Then amphibian skin is moist. There are no scales. Eyes have eyelids. Tympanum represents the ear, alimentary canal, urinary canal and reproductive tract canal all open into a common chamber. What was the name of that common chamber? Cloaca. Then this cloaca opens to exterior. Respiration is by gills, lungs. Okay, gills mostly seen in which form? Larval form. Lungs mostly seen in which form? Adult forms. And sometimes moist skin can also show gaseous exchange, and we have also added one point in our notes, buccopharyngeal cavity. Heart is three chambered, two are auricles, one is ventricle. Then these are cold-blooded animals. Sexes are separate. Fertilization is external. Fertilization external, that means occur in water. They are oviparous. Oviparous means egg laying. Development is indirect. Indirect means larval form shown. Then examples we have done: Buffo the toad, Ranategrina the frog, Hyla the tree frog, then Salamandra, Ichthyophis, limbless amphibian, right? So this is all about the amphibians. After amphibians, let us move to the next class, the class of snakes. The class of snakes. Which is the class of snakes? What are snakes commonly known as? Are they known as amphibians or are they known as reptiles? Yes, they are reptiles. Reptiles. So class Reptilia. What does the name Reptilia means? Reptilia means to crawl. Okay. So they are moving either by crawling or by creeping. That means like this. Everyone has seen a snake moving, right? So how does snake moves? Okay. So either it is showing creeping movement or crawling movement. So the name class Reptilia is due to the creeping or the crawling type of locomotion shown by the members. The members of class Reptilia are mostly terrestrial. Mostly they are found on the terrestrial environment and they have done certain adaptation to live on the terrestrial environment. Their skin is dry and cornified skin. How is the skin? It is dry, cornified. You can see certain type of corny things on the skin of these reptiles, and their skin have no glands. Their skin have no glands, but epidermal scales can be seen or spoots can be seen. So there is a pattern. Can you see the pattern? Okay, so these patterns are due to the epidermal scales, or we call them as spoots, right? So how is the skin? Let us revise. How is the skin of reptiles? Dry, cornified, no glands, but epidermal scales can be seen, spoots can be seen, right? And one more thing, they also show molting. That means time to time they shed off the old skin and develop a new skin, right? So something unique, they show skin casting. The entire skin is casted off and beneath that a new skin has already been formed and they are out with their new skin. Okay, just like we change clothes, they can change, they can cast off their skin. Then they are cold-blooded poikilothermals. That means their body temperature will not remain constant. Till now you must have learnt about this term, cold-blooded poikilothermals, ectothermals. They are terrestrial, found mostly in warmer parts. Again, where they will be found? Mostly in the warmer parts. So tropical regions, subtropical regions, you will see these reptiles in large number. Now, their endoskeleton is bony. So if we see what is the endoskeleton of these reptiles made up of, it is a bony endoskeleton, right? So they show Bony endoskeleton. Bony endoskeleton. Let us see some photos. So this is a snake and they are showing you the scaly skin. Can you see the scales? Let me zoom it more. So these scale like epidermal scale like things are very much visible. And here this is not a living snake. It is the skin which has been casted off. Okay. So this is the skin cast of a snake. It is not a living snake, right? So they cast off their skin. It looks like a snake. Entire body is like this, but it is not living. Okay. Limbs, if present. So usually snakes, they do not have limb. Okay, snakes are limbless. But if limbs are present in some of the members, yes, they are of course present. So limbs when present are in two pairs. That means again why they are kept under tetrapoda, due to this reason only, na? They have four limbs or two pair of limbs. Now they do not have external ear openings and snakes do not possess ear. Snakes have no ear. Okay, they do not have any ear. Tympanum represents the ear if ear is present in the reptiles. Other members, if ear is present in tympanum, just like the amphibians, it represents the ear. How is their heart? How is their heart? So if we see the heart, again a slight development is seen. If we see, then there are two auricles, one ventricle, and this ventricle is like partially divided. So there will be a mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. So what we will say that heart is having two auricles and a partially divided ventricle. Partially divided, not fully divided. If it was fully divided, then it could have made four-chambered heart. But this is incomplete four-chambered. That means three-chamber we will say, two auricles, one ventricle, but ventricle is partially divided. But there is an exceptional case, the Mr. Crocodile. This crocodile shows four-chambered heart. Now Mr. Crocodile says, okay, I am going to make my ventricle fully divided. So four-chambered heart is seen in which reptilian? It is crocodile, right? Now, how is fertilization occurring? Fertilization is internal and fertilized eggs are laid off after. See, fertilization occurs in the body of the female and then fertilized eggs are then laid. Okay, so they are oviparous because they are releasing fertilized eggs, but the fertilization has occurred in the body of the females. Their eggs, they have a protective covering. They have a protective covering. What type of protective covering? So they are covered by leathery calcareous shell. Okay, so well protected. Leathery calcareous shell. What is the benefit of having a shell? It protects from desiccation or damage due to environmental condition because they are not going into water. They are on the terrestrial environment only. So they need a protective covering and leathery calcareous shell is seen around the eggs. Another point, very important. Most reptiles are oviparous. Egg-laying. Some forms can be ovoviviparous, in between egg-laying and giving birth to young ones, or some can also give birth to young ones. So they show all the type of condition. Mostly oviparous, few forms ovoviviparous, and few forms are viviparous also, right? One point which you will note down, it is not given in NCERT, but you will note down that in reptiles, embryonic membranes are formed. Please note it down. Embryonic membranes are formed during the development. So they are known as amniotes. What are they known as? Amniotes. So here you can see amnion. Okay, here inside embryo is developing, and around the embryo, can you see amnion? Then here is allantois. Then here is the albumin of the egg. Here it is the yolk developing, is the yolk sac. Then chorion, shell, amniotic cavity without amniotic fluid is also seen. So this, you don't have to learn all these things because they are not given in your NCERT now. But just learn one word, that inside the egg of reptiles, when embryonic development is seen, that embryonic development shows the formation of certain embryonic membranes. Certain embryonic membranes. So they act like a protective covering around the embryo, and amnion, chorion, allantois, these are the various type of names. No need to learn them. Okay, just for your knowledge purpose. Here you can see a reptile hatching out from the eggs. Can you see the head coming out like this, and it has hatched? Okay, so hatching of reptile eggs. Next thing, how is the development? Do they show larval forms? So they do not show larval forms, so development is mostly direct development. Okay, larval forms are not seen. No larval forms. Mostly there are no larval forms. Some of the examples we will study. One is Chiloni. It is known as the turtle. Then Testudo, the Mr. Tortoise. Then the Girgit, the chameleon, also known as tree lizard. Then Calotus, garden lizard. Okay. Then Crocodilus, Mr. Crocodile. Then alligator. See, crocodile is the magarmach and alligator is the ghadial. They show morphological differences, many. Okay, so alligator, it is the distant cousin of crocodiles. Look like crocodiles, but it is a ghadial. Then Hemidactylus, it is the wall lizard. Poisonous snakes, you will die if they bite you. Okay, so antivenoms have been prepared and so many things have to be done if any snake like naja, it is the cobra. Then Bangarus, it is the crate. Then Vipera, it is the viper. So 3 poisonous snakes. Learn the names. 3 most common poisonous snakes. One is naja. Naja is cobra. Okay, everyone must have seen cobra in the movies or on Discovery Channel or on Animal Planet. Then the second poisonous snake is Bangarus. It is known as the crate. The third one is Vipera. It is known as the viper. So these are the examples of various type of reptiles, right? Okay. So can you see these creatures? It looks so funny, huh? So who is he? He is the chameleon, the tree lizard. Okay, the chameleon, the girgit. It can change its color, or we can say it can camouflage. What is camouflage? It is like blending in the environment, right? For example, if it is sitting on a green area, it will turn into green. If it is sitting on a stem, dry stem, it will turn into brown. It can change its colors according to the environment, and then it is not noticed easily by the predators. So it is a mechanism to save itself from predation, right? And also to capture prey also. Okay, the prey also cannot see it. So both things. Then Hemidactylus, it is a wall lizard. So you can see this lizard on your walls near the tube light eating all the small tiny insects, mosquitoes. Okay, so wall lizard, Hemidactylus. Then this is testudo. It is the tortoise. This is a tortoise, and this is Chilon, the turtle. So obviously there is a difference between both. One is turtle. This is the turtle, and this is the tortoise. Right? Do you know? Tortoise is one of the longest living animals on this planet Earth. So one of the longest living animals. Okay. Coming to the last class, Aves, but before that, let us see the NCERT portion of class Reptilia. Okay. So who are these NCERT pictures? This is the Cambrian. This is the Crocodilus. This is the Chilon, the turtle. And this is our Naja. Okay. The name should be Jaja, but name is Naja. So Naja is the name of cobra, poisonous one. Okay, beware of it. Run away if you see such type of snake. Okay, so let us see some important points given in NCERT. So class Reptilia. So class Reptilia, let us revise fast. The class name refers to the creeping, crawling mode of locomotion. So what type of locomotion they are showing? They are showing a creeping, crawling type of locomotion. Then now they are mostly terrestrial. We have done this, mostly terrestrial. Body is covered by dry and cornified skin. Epidermal scales or scute can be seen. They do not have external ear opening. Tympanum represent ear, and the reptile without ear was snake. Okay. Limbs, if present, 2 pairs. Heart is usually 3-chambered, but 4-chambered heart is seen in crocodile. Reptiles are cold-blooded poikilothermals. Snakes and lizards shed their scale as skin cast. So snakes also shed and lizards also shed their scales as skin cast. Sexes are separate. Fertilization internal. Oviparous. Development is direct. That means no larval form. And they lay fertilized eggs. And eggs were covered by leathery or calcareous shell. We have done this. And all these are the examples. So we have covered the NCERT portion very well. Okay. Now, coming to the birds. The class Aves. The class of birds. The Aves. So, what are birds? Birds are feathered animals. Their body has feathery covering on them. Their forelimbs are modified as wings. Forelimbs are modified as wings for flying purposes. And hind limbs, legs, they show various type of adaptation. Hind limbs, they can be either leg-like thing, so they can walk with the leg-like thing, or they can perch. You have seen a sparrow, okay, and then some can be modified for swimming purposes also. So hind limbs, and hind limbs generally have what? They generally have scales, okay. So you can see scales on the hind limb. Let me show you. So here you can see the hind limbs. These are the hind limbs. Hind limbs modified as legs. In this case, you can see, and this is the scaly type of thing which is seen on the hind limbs or the legs or the perching thing of the birds, right? So epidermal scales are seen in the legs of the bird. Epidermal scales are seen where? In the legs of the birds, right? Okay. Next thing, forelimbs are modified into wings. So most of them can fly, but which one is the flightless bird? The bird which do not fly? Ostrich. Have you seen ostrich? Such a huge animal. Imagine if it starts flying and it falls on somebody's head, what will happen? So nature has not given ostrich the capacity to fly. It is a bird. It has all the features of bird, but it cannot fly. It is huge. Okay. Warm-blooded they are. Okay. And they can maintain a constant body temperature. Now this is something which is evolutionary significant. So first time, four-chambered heart. First time, four-chambered heart was formed in birds. And due to this complete division of four chambers, there was a complete division of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. So if oxygenated blood is completely separated from deoxygenated blood, then they are warm-blooded. They can maintain their constant body temperature and they are very active also. Okay, so this is evolutionary significance. Now there are no glands present, but there is a single gland, an oil gland, which can be seen at the base of the tail. See, the skin of birds have no other gland, nothing, no gland, but one gland is present. That is called the preen gland or the oil gland. And where is it present? It is present at the base of the tail. So preen gland, also known as what? Oil gland. Okay. Where it is present? Base of the tail. Again, some exceptions are there. See, ostrich and parrot, they do not have such oil glands. Preen gland is absent in ostrich and parrot. Note it down. Preen gland is absent in ostrich and parrot. Now in birds, the upper and the lower jaws are modified into a beak. Beak you have seen, birds have a beak, no teeth. There are no teeth. Beaks are adapted to many ways of feeding, seed crushing, fruit scooping, flesh tearing, nectar sipping and so on. So whatever type of feeding habit they have, their beaks are modified into that way only. So we can see a variety of the modification in the beaks of the birds. Okay. Then respiration occur by lungs. Lungs are spongy and inelastic. Why the lungs are spongy and inelastic? Why they are spongy and inelastic? Because air sacs are connected to lungs to supplement respiration, and their body should be lightweight because they have to fly, right? So respiration occurs by what? By lungs. Lungs are spongy, inelastic, and air sacs are connected to lungs, and this supplements their respiration. So a faster mode of respiration, very fast breathing patterns, right? Larynx do not act as voice box. So if larynx is not acting as a voice box, you know na, there is a voice box in our neck, larynx. But in birds, larynx is not producing voice. Then how are the birds producing all the sweet type of voices? They have another thing called syrinx. So voice, for voice, birds have syrinx. Okay. Then birds have a keen sense of sight. So birds, they have a very good eyesight, but they lack smelling power. So very poor sense of smell, right? Ear has three parts: external ear, middle ear and internal ear. But external ear is not like pinna like. Okay, no pinna seen. Ear openings are present instead. Endoskeleton is fully ossified, very important, bony, and they have hollow long bones with air cavities. Such type of bones are called pneumatic bones. Very important point. Very, very important point. Birds have, please note it down. Birds have pneumatic long bones. They have pneumatic long bones. And these pneumatic long bones have air cavities, and they are hollow. Okay. What is the purpose? They reduce body weight. They reduce body weight of birds, which help them in flying easily. Weight is more, they cannot fly easily, right? So this is the purpose. One more thing, no bone marrow. Their bones do not have any bone marrow. Okay. So these are the points you will study later on when we will study animal physiology. So there is bone marrow which is seen, but here no bone marrow is seen, right? Now females, the female birds have a well developed single left ovary and oviduct. Single left ovary and oviduct. If the right ovary and oviduct are present, they are vestigial, non-functional. So one ovary and one oviduct is functional. The left one. Right one is present. Okay, it is present, but it is non-functional. It is acting like a vestigial organ, right? So in females, which ovary is functional? Left ovary. So such interesting things. Okay. And here you can see a bird. It has some different type of digestive tract also. No need to learn so much because NCERT has cut it down the syllabus. So no need to study all the extra things. So, but you can see a photo here. You can see a crop, liver, gizzard, small intestine, large intestine, and cloaca. Okay. So, this is about your Aves. Let us see what NCERT is telling us about Aves. Okay. So, NCERT tells us that a characteristic feature of Aves is the presence of feathers. Most of them can fly except flightless birds. Flightless bird is ostrich. It is the largest flightless bird. Kiwi is the smallest flightless bird. Please note it down. Kiwi is the smallest flightless bird and ostrich is the largest flightless bird. Then they possess streamlined body. You know what is streamlined body? It is very easy if you are having a streamlined body to swim or to fly. Aeroplanes also have a streamlined body. Okay, so adapted for flying easily. Then they possess a beak, 4 limbs modified into wings, hind limbs generally have scale, modified for walking, swimming, clasping the tree branches. So they can sit on a tree branch and clasp it like this. Na? They do not fall. Skin is dry, without glands except the oil gland. Oil gland name was preen gland, uropygial gland for lubrication of the wings. Where was it present? Base of the tail it was present. And then endoskeleton is fully ossified. That means bony endoskeleton. Long bones, they were known as pneumatic bones. They possess air cavities, they were hollow. Digestive tract has additional chambers. We have seen crop, gizzard like structures. Heart is completely 4-chambered. Then they are warm-blooded, homeothermals. For the first time, they were the warm-blooded animals. And they are able to maintain a constant body temperature. Okay, they are able to maintain a constant body temperature. Some can have like different type of features. So lungs are there, air sacs are connected to lungs to supplement respiration. We have discussed this. Sexes were separate, fertilization internal, mostly oviparous, egg-laying members with calcareous shells, no larva, direct development. Syrinx is the voice box, larynx is not the voice box. So let us see some important example. Corvus. Corvus is the crow. Everyone knows who is crow. Then columba, it is the name for pigeon. Very common words, pigeon. Then Psittacula, it is the parrot. Psittacula, this, the parrot, the photo given. Then Struthio. Struthio is the ostrich. This is Struthio. Then Pavo. Pavo is peacock. It is the national bird of India. Okay. And then Aptenodytes, the penguin. Aptenodytes is the penguin. And Neophron, it is the vulture. So this is Neophron, the vulture. Vultures are considered to be scavengers. They feed on the dead and decaying matter. They eat up all the flesh and leave the bone. Okay. So this was all about class Aves. Coming to the last class, class Mammalia. Class Mammalia. So where are mammals found? What are mammals? Why the name given mammals? Huh? Can you see a flying mammal over here? Just to see. Can you see a flying mammal over here? Who is this? The bat. Flying mammal. Bat. It is the flying mammal. This is the aquatic mammal. That means mammal can also be seen in water. This is kangaroo. It is seen only in specific regions like Australia. And who is he? It is the viviparous animal, the anteater. Okay. Ornithorhynchus. Let us see about class Mammalia. Okay. So, class Mammalia, the last class, mostly viviparous animals. That means they give birth to young ones. But exceptions are everywhere. So, Echidna, Platypus, they are the egg-laying mammals. They possess what? They possess mammary glands for nourishment of young ones, body hair on skin. So, we possess small body hair. So, this is like unique feature. Then, we show mammary glands. Mammary glands are present in both males also, females also, but they are functional in females. They are not functional in males. Okay, they are present in both male and females. Remember that. But functional only in females. Why? It is functional in females for the nourishment of the young one. Right? Then external ear is seen. Pinna. Again a unique feature. This pinna. Pinna is seen. Okay. They are warm-blooded animals, homeothermal animals. Unique mammalian character is the presence of milk-producing glands, mammary glands. Two pair of limbs are there, adapted for walking, running, climbing, burrowing, swimming or flying. Teeth they can show, and different type of teeth they can show. So teeth are there, and teeth are embedded in the sockets of the jaw. So we have sockets in the jaw and teeth are coming out from there also, and they are embedded in the sockets of the jaw. And in human beings, the teeth are of two types, milk teeth and permanent teeth, right? Okay, respiration occurs by lungs. Respiration occurs by lungs, and they possess a muscular diaphragm. So we will study this in the respiratory system. So there is a dome-like structure, diaphragm beneath the lungs, which will help in the respiratory purpose, right? So muscular diaphragm, it divides the trunk into thorax and abdomen. Heart is four-chambered, complete separation of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood, so they are warm-blooded. Sexes are usually separate and fertilization is internal. They are viviparous with few exceptions. Development is direct. Okay, development is direct. Let us see what is NCERT telling us about mammals. So, coming to NCERT lines. So several glands are present in the mammalian skins like tear glands in eyes, wax glands, milk glands, sweat glands, etc. And hair are present, and this is a unique feature. Presence of hair is a unique feature. Okay, another unique feature is external ear pinna. Okay, different type of teeth are present in the jaw. Heart is four-chambered. Then they are homeotherms. Respiration is by lungs. Sexes are separate. Fertilization internal. Viviparous, few exception. And development is direct, no larva. Example, oviparous animals, Ornithorhynchus, which is known as platypus, egg-laying mammal, the photo was shown. Then viviparous mammals are giving birth to young ones. So here macropus or kangaroo is shown. You can write, they are called marsupials. Kangaroo is marsupial. Delphinus, common dolphin. Balenopetra, blue whale. Panthera tigris, it is the tiger. Panthera leo, it is the lion. What are the distinguishing feature of all phyla under animal kingdom? So there will be a comparison chart. It is given in your NCERT. And with this comparison chart, you can easily compare all the type of phylums. And we have done these phylums in details already. So you can read, you can compare, and it is the easiest way to learn all the phylums. So this was all about the animal kingdom. In the next class, we will start with a new topic. Till then, bye-bye. Hello students, welcome to Crack Academy. I am Deepti Mudgal, and today we are going to start with a new topic, morphology of flowering plants. So let us start with the topic, morphology of flowering plants. So what is morphology? Morphology is the study of external features, right? So if we see that what is visible to us, that is called morphology. So the study of the external features is known as morphology. What features you can observe in a plant before you? So you can see various type of visible features, like you can see the shoot system, you can see the buds, you can see the flowers, you can see the nodes, internodes, axillary buds, leaves, fruits, flowers, shoot system. And if you just dig up a plant, then you can also observe the root system in it. So all these, they can be visualized externally. We don't have to cut a plant, and this is not including the internal type of things. So all the external type of features which are visible to us, they are studied under morphology. So let us start with morphology. So what is morphology? We have just discussed. Morphology is the study of external characters. In external characters, we can study what is the size of the plant, what type of form it is having, what type of shape is the organ having, what is the structure, what is the color. So everything which can be observed by naked eyes, it comes under morphology. So morphology is the study of external characters. If we see angiosperms, then these angiosperms, they are the only flowering plants and the only fruit bearing plants. So angiosperms, they are the only flowering plants, only flowering plants, and they are the only fruit bearing plants also. Fruit bearing plants also. So we have studied the plant kingdom very well. So they are the most advanced type of plants, angiosperms. And what we are going to study? We are going to study morphology of only these type of plants, not all other plants. Okay, so in morphology, we are going to study the morphology of angiosperms. Angiosperms, because they are the only flowering plant, they are the most advanced type of plants, and they are the only fruit bearing plants. Now, these angiosperms, they show a lot of diversity. They show a lot of diversity. And angiosperms can be divided into two major classes. Angiosperms, they can be divided into either dicots or monocots. So if we say that angiospermic plants, they are of two main types, one are called dicots, other are called monocots. Can dicots and monocots be differentiated just by observing the external characters? Answer is yes. Why dicots and monocots, they are showing difference in morphology? They also show difference in anatomy. Why they are not showing the same type of features despite the fact that they belong to the same group called Angio? Tell me, what can be the possible reason that dicots and monocots, they are showing different type of morphology? Tell me. Because they are adapted to different type of regions, different type of environmental conditions, and to cope up with all that, they have to modify themselves. Either they modify themselves according to the environment and develop different type of roots, or different type of stem heights, or different type of flower and fruit formation, or they can also adapt by changing their anatomy also. So remember this thing, that both dicots and monocots, they are the part of angiosperms, but they show differences in both morphology also and anatomy also. Why these differences are seen? To make them better adapted to their different type of environments, right? Okay. An angiospermic plant, it starts its life from a seed. If we see that angiospermic plants, they start their life as a seed, right? So what is a seed? What are the structures seen in seed? What are the structures seen in seed? Let us see a seed. So this is a dicot seed, you can see over here, and we can see that the seed has a region called this region. This region is called plumule. The region of the seed is known as what? Plumule. And this plumule region will give rise to the future shoot. If we open a seed and we see the plumule portion of the seed, this plumule portion will grow and it will form the shoot system. What do you mean with the shoot system? The part which is above the ground, right? So in shoot system, this plumule will later on give rise to the stem, the branches, the flowers, the buds, the fruits, the leaves, etc. So all the shoot system, all the above ground type of system, that will be formed by this portion called plumule. Now this portion is called radicle. What do we call this portion as? Radicle. This radicle portion, it give rise to future root system. Future root system. So what type of root will be there? What type of root branches will be there? Will there be taproot system? Will there be adventitious root system? Okay, adventitious root system is not rising from radicle though, but root system, it will be started by the radical portion only. Okay, later on it can be replaced. Then here it is a portion which is known as what? Root cap. Here it is a portion called what? Root cap. So we can see that these angiospermic plants, they arise from seed, and in a seed, the plumule part, it gives rise to the future shoot, and the radical part, it gives rise to the future root, right? Okay. Coming to the root system first. Root system first. What is this root system? Where will you see a root system? What are the main features of the root system? right? So, if we see the root system, what are the main functions of a root system? So, root, if we can say, root is a underground structure mostly. There can be some type of modification of roots, but mostly root system is the underground system. It is positively geotropic. Positively geotropic means roots will move in the direction of gravity. Positively geotropic. They are growing in the direction of gravity. They are going downward in the soil. Positively geotropic. Maximum roots, they appear cylindrical in structure. So NCERT tells that roots are basically cylindrical in structure. Roots are non-green. They do not possess chlorophyll because they have to grow beneath the soil, so no need of chlorophyll. They are descending axis. Descending means going down. These roots form a root system, and this root system, it do various type of function. Anchorage, that means a plant, it is anchored in the soil. It is not falling here or there. It is very well anchored in the soil by the root system. Okay, so they anchor a plant in the soil. Then they support the plant. They spread and they support. They make a support system for the plants. The plants, they are growing into large trees, so they need a well-defined support system. So roots also show secondary growth. Roots also turn woody and they form the support system. What is the main function of roots? What is the main function of roots, if anyone asks? What are roots doing? What type of physiological function they are doing? So roots are those part of the plant which will absorb water and minerals from the soil and give it to the plant. So absorption of water and minerals. Do roots secrete certain type of hormones also? Answer is yes. Roots are also involved in the secretion of various type of plant hormones, also known as phytohormones like auxins and so many others. So, the main functions of roots, let us repeat, main functions of root: anchorage, support, absorption of water and minerals, and secretion of certain type of plant hormones or phytohormones. Am I clear with this? Now, let us move to the diagram of a typical root. So, everybody pay attention over here. So, this is a typical root. Can you see that root appears like a cylindrical type of structure? And this is the portion which will further grow into the shoot system. Okay, so further above this shoot system will be seen. So this portion of the root is like that portion which will start as soon as we go beneath the soil. Now very important point. Which portion is the apex or the ending part of the root? Is this the ending part of the root or this the ending part of the root? Where will you say that root apex is there? So this portion, this lower portion, this is the root apex. Please listen carefully. This portion, it is forming the root apex, the terminal point. But we are not saying it the terminal point, the end point. Why? Root is ending at the root apex, but it is still covered by root cap. So this portion is known as, let me zoom it for you. This portion is known as the root apex. But we are not calling it as terminal. We are calling it as subterminal. Why we are calling it as subterminal? Because this tip is covered further by a root cap. Root cap. So root apex is covered by a root cap. So that is why we call root apex as subterminal. Right? What is this root cap? Why it is covering the root apex? Why this root cap is present? Now plants, they are growing in the soil. They are going deep inside the soil. And while going deep inside the soil, there can be several type of pebbles, there can be several type of obstructions. So this root cap, it is forming a protective type of covering on the tender root apex. See, this root apex portion, it consists of a very special type of zone. This zone is called meristematic zone. And this zone, this meristematic zone, is that place from where the cells will be formed and sent for forming the plant body. Right? So, meristematic zone is like a factory of the cell. And this meristematic zone is very tender. And it is lying at the end point of the root. But at this root apex, if there is no external covering like root cap, this tender type of meristematic zone can be destroyed. It can be destroyed. And if this meristematic zone is destroyed, then plant growth will stop. Root growth will stop. And we do not want such type of thing. Okay. So, what is present for the protection? Root cap. Root cap, listen very carefully. It is a thimble-like structure. If we see a root cap, it appears thimble-like structure. Thimble. Okay. It is made up of which tissue? Parenchymatous tissue. What is root cap made up of? It is made up of parenchymatic tissue. This root cap covers and protects tender root apex. So this is the function. Root cap is covering and protecting what? It is protecting and covering the tender root apex, which contains the meristematic zone, the factory of the cell region. It prevents wear and tear by secreting what? So now this root cap, can you see this yellow portion over here? This all. So this is mucilage. What is this portion? This portion is mucilage, right? And this mucilage portion is preventing wear and tear. So it is again a further addition in the root cap. So all that mucilaginous layer, it again is preventing the wear and tear of the root, right? So mucilage is secreted by root cap, and for what? To prevent wear and tear. Sometimes this root cap can get damaged. Okay, sometimes the root cap can get damaged. But there is a very unique thing, that if it gets lost or if it gets damaged, it can be regenerated again and again. That means as many times as the root cap gets destroyed, damaged, a new root cap will appear. A new root cap will appear. Am I clear with the structure of root cap? So, what was root cap? It was a protective structure. Where it was present? It was covering the root apex, the tender root apex. What was it made up of? It was made up of parenchymatous tissue. What was it secreting? It was secreting lots of mucilage, which was preventing what? Wear and tear. And if it is damaged, if it is lost, it can be regenerated again and again. So, am I clear about root cap? There is some extra point also. This root cap portion may contain certain substances called statocysts. These statocysts are starch grains. So, it has accumulated certain statocysts, starch grains, and these starch grains are helping in graviperception. Graviperception means they are directing the roots to grow towards gravity, not against gravity. So, graviperception. These things are making or helping it in making positively geotropic. Am I clear? Am I clear? Next thing. Let us take a look at various zones. Now, this was the root apex or the end part, and this is the root base. So, this portion root apex and the above portion which you can see over here is the root base. So, root base, root apex. Between this root apex and root base, there are present certain important regions, or we can say that root can be divided into various zones. Each zone shows a very, very important role which will help in the growth of the root. And let us see what are the zones. Coming to the first zone. This first zone, as you can see, is the meristematic zone. Okay. So, I will start with the meristematic zone. This zone is very small, 1 mm long, and it contains so many meristematic cells. The cells are dividing, and they are sending new cells for the growth of the plant, right? So, meristematic zone, and it contains what type of cells? Meristematic cells, rapidly dividing cells. What type of cells will you find in the meristematic zone? You will find meristematic cells, which are rapidly dividing cells. Rapidly dividing cells. And as I told you, this zone acts as the factory of cells. Now, as soon as the meristematic zone ends, there comes the second zone. What is the name of this second zone? This zone is called zone of elongation. So, this is the second zone. What is the name? Zone of elongation. So, this is the zone where the cells which were produced by meristematic zone, they will elongate, they will start elongating. And if the cells are elongating in this region, so this region, the zone of elongation, is responsible for the increase in length of the root, right? So, maximum growth or elongation of the root is due to which zone? Very, very important question. If they ask elongation of root is due to which zone? The name elongation zone. What type of growth are the cells showing? They are extending themselves. They are getting taller. Okay. They are elongating. And such type of elongation is called plastic extension. What do we call this extension as? Plastic extension. Why plastic? Are we adding plastic in them? No. Plastic extension means the protoplasm is secreting new substances which are helping in elongating the cells, elongating their cell walls. Plastic extension. Coming to the third zone. This third zone you can see over here. Okay. So, where the zone of elongation ends, zone of maturation starts. This zone of maturation is also known as the zone of cell differentiation. What happens? Now the cells have elongated. Now they will get differentiated to perform a particular function. For example, if I say that if the cells, they want to form the epidermis, then they will start differentiating as epidermal cells, and then they will start arranging themselves on the boundaries. Okay. If a cell wants to become xylem or phloem, then they will start differentiating. They will start acquiring the shapes, the size, the length according to the type of tissue they will form later on. Okay. So every different type of cell, according to its function and according to its location, gets differentiated in which zone? In the zone of maturation or in the zone of cell differentiation. Next thing, what you can see, that this zone of maturation and cell differentiation, it bears epidermal cells of the root on the margins, and some of the epidermal cells, listen carefully, some of the epidermal cells, they have elongated them, and these unicellular extensions. So a single cell, it elongates itself, and the unicellular extension which is formed is called root hair. Is called what? Root hair. So what are root hair? Very, very important question. Root hair, first thing, they are always unicellular, because they are extension from a single cell. Each root hair is extending from a single cell. So root hair are always unicellular. They are exogenous extensions of the root epidermal cells called epiblema. Exogenous means what? This is the cell, this is the root cell, root epidermal cell. Root epidermal cell is also known as what? Epiblema. So this epiblema cell, it is just extending itself and getting converted into root hair. So nothing to do with the internal type of organs. So no connection with the internal type of organs. It is just extension of the single cell. Such type of growth is called exogenous type of growth. Exogenous, coming just from the outer surface, just stretching something coming out. So exogenous extension of epidermal cells. What are the root epidermal cells known as? Epiblema, and the extension of the epiblema, they give rise to the unicellular root hair. Am I clear? What is the function of root hair? What is the function of root hair? Very, very important question. Why these root hairs are being formed? These root hairs are being formed to increase these root hair, they increase the surface area. Root hair increase the surface area for absorption of water and minerals. For absorption of water and minerals. Am I clear with this? So from where, from which zone the roots will start actually absorbing the water and minerals? From this zone. This zone, it doesn't have any root here, so water absorption is not taking place. Okay, water absorption is taking place from the root hair zone or from the zone of maturation and cell differentiation. Am I clear? And where is this root hair zone present? It lies in the zone of maturation and cell differentiation. Now, coming to the last thing. Here you can see this thing. This thing is the root base. Root base is that portion. So if we cut a plant, we cut the shoot system and where the root system is starting, we can see a zone where the permanent type of cells have been formed. Okay, and you can see the outer covering, which is epidermis over here, very well seen. The outer covering of any plant, outer covering of any plant is formed by the epidermis. When you go inside the epidermis, you see the cortex part, then we see the pericycle part, and then in the last we see the pith part. Okay, remember that if we have to just go inside a plant part from out to in, what we will see? We will see, first we will see the epidermis. After epidermis, cortex will be there. After cortex, pericycle will be there. And within the center, there will be pith. So these are the portions. So pith is the centralmost. Then pericycle. Pericycle. Outside pericycle, what is present? Cortex. And outside cortex, the outermost covering is known as what? Epidermis. Epidermis. So we can see all these things very clearly at this root base. Okay. One more thing, this pericycle portion, if we see inside a root, it is not a part of morphology. Actually, it is a part of anatomy, because we have to cut a section to see all these. From outside only epidermis will be seen. So if we see this pericycle, why I am discussing this? Because this pericycle, it is the seat from where secondary and tertiary root branches will arise. See, very, very important thing. If we see a taproot, if we see a taproot system has a main primary taproot. This is the main primary taproot. And from this main primary taproot, we see a lateral branches originating. So primary taproot, lateral branches. Lateral branches, they include the secondary and the tertiary root branches. So from which portion are the secondary and the tertiary root branching originating? Okay, so these branches are originating from the pericycle internally. So they are endogenous in origin. Very, very important point. Please mark it carefully. So pericycle is the seat of origin of secondary and tertiary root branches, also known as the lateral root branches. And these root branches, since they are originating from the pericycle, so they are endogenous in origin. They also bear all the vascular supply, xylem, phloem, everything is seen in these secondary and tertiary. Am I clear? So this was the structure of a typical root and various type of portions which we can see. Now there can be certain portions in your exams that this root cap, it is seen in the terrestrial plants. But if the plants are like free floating, then they do not need any root cap. So root cap and root hair, they can be absent in certain special type of plants. Let us see the question for this. So you can just see this question on your screens and note them down. So first question is, root cap and root hair are absent. Root cap and root hair are absent. Where? Mycorrhizal roots, epiphytic roots, parasitic roots, free floating hydrophytes. Answer is all. We have studied about mycorrhiza in Pinus. So the laterals, secondary and tertiary root branches of Pinus, it hadn't any root hair, any root cap. So mycorrhizal roots do not possess root cap, root hair. Second, epiphytic roots. Some plants are hanging plants, epiphytes. Their roots are hanging in the air to absorb moisture. Since they are hanging in the air, so they do not need any root cap or root hair, because they are not growing in the soil. They are just hanging in the air on another host plant obviously, but they are hanging in the air, so they also are not needing any type of root cap or root hair. Then parasitic roots. If the plant is a parasite, it will depend on host for nourishment. So again, no root cap, no root hair needed in the parasitic roots. Then free floating hydrophytes, the plants which are floating on the surface of the water, they also do not need any root hair or root cap like structures. The second point which you can learn is again very important. If the question comes, where are multiple root caps seen? So multiple root caps are seen in a plant called pandanus. A plant which is known as pandanus, it can show multiple root caps. Third point you can write in your notebooks. Free floating plants, they do not have root caps. We have just studied. Free floating plants, they are not having what? They are not having root caps. But if they are not having root caps, they are possessing certain special structures called root pockets. They possess special structures called root pockets. And these root pockets, they act as balancers. So, the plant will not go here and here while floating on the surface. So, it will be kept in a balanced state. Due to this special type of structures, these are the special type of structures. These are the root pockets which are seen in the plants which are free floating. Okay, root pockets. These are not root caps. These are root pockets. If a root pocket gets lost or damaged, it will not be regenerated like root cap. This is the basic difference. Root cap can be generated again and again. Okay, root pocket cannot be generated if lost or damaged. For example, Pistia, it is a free floating plant. Ischonia, Lemna. Okay, these are the free floating plants which can show root pockets instead of root caps. Am I clear with these points? Okay, so we have seen the various zones of the root, right? And we have seen the various functions of the root also. Okay, so let us move further. Now, what are the types of root systems? Root systems, how many types are they? Okay, so if we see the type of root systems, so there are three main type of root system. First is called the tap root system, second is called the fibrous root system, and third is called the adventitious root system. Okay, how will we learn them? Tap root system is the feature of or the characteristic of which plants? Dicot plants. So majority of the dicot plants, they show a typical type of root system which is known as tap root system. This tap root system, it is a deep feeder. That means it will go deep inside the soil, it will be stout, it can also show secondary growth with the growing of the tree, and it will go deep inside the soil and give a proper type of anchorage and support to the plant. So, since dicot plants, they become tree later on, they show secondary growth, woody growth. So, their roots also grow with them and they possess what type of root system? Tap root system. Okay. So, tap root system, if we say tap root system, it is the feature of dicots. It is the feature of dicots. In tap root system, there is a primary tap root. This primary tap root, it arises from the radicle of the seed. We studied radicle forms the root system, plumule forms the shoot system. So, this arises from the radicle of the seed or the embryo, and this radical part elongates and forms the long living, very long living primary tap root. Okay, so this is the primary tap root. This primary tap root is long living, okay, and this is stout. What do you mean by stout? Stout means तगड़ी है, ठीक है? It is stout, solid, stout, long living, and it can show secondary growth also. It can show which growth? Secondary growth also. Then the root branches, the lateral root branches are also very well developed. What are the lateral root branches? What were the name of the lateral root branches? Secondary root branches, tertiary root branches. Okay, they are also very well developed. So secondary and tertiary root branches are also very well developed. So primary tap root and their lateral roots. Lateral roots. What are lateral roots? Secondary and tertiary roots. Okay, their lateral roots, they form the tap root system. Tap root system. And what type of root system are they? So direct elongation of the radicle forms the primary root. It grows inside the soil. It bears the lateral root branches, secondary and tertiary branches. It gradually narrows down at the tip, and the primary root and its branches constitute the tap root system. What is the example you will learn? Most of the dicots, but one example which you will not forget is mustard plant. It is given in your NCERT. Mustard plant. Okay. Plus most dicots. Okay. Mustard plant plus most dicots. They show taproot system. Okay. So can you see a photo of taproot system over here? So this is the primary taproot, secondary roots, tertiary roots. Okay. And these are the rootlets, the further branch. Okay. Next thing, fibrous root system. Now fibrous root system, it is the feature of monocot plants. Have you ever seen a grass? Have you ever pulled apart a grass plant? Can you see a bunch of fiber-like things which are forming the root-like structure? And there is no primary taproot. It is not very deep root which is seen in the grasses. Okay. So fibrous root system. Fibrous root system is the feature of monocots. It is the feature of monocots. Monocot. So most of the monocot plants, they will show this type of roots, fibrous roots. So what happens? The primary root starts developing earlier, but it is soon replaced. Primary root is short-lived. It will be soon replaced by lots of fiber-like roots which are known as fibrous roots, obviously. So in monocot plants, primary root is short-lived and it is replaced by large number of fibrous roots. They grow underground in groups either at the base of the stem. So if this is the stem, so they will start appearing from the base of the stem and then they can spread in all direction. But they are not very deep feeders. They do not go very deep in the soil. So they are surface feeders. So you can easily pull them apart. Okay. So base of the direct stem. For example, wheat, maize, or they can also arise from the nodes of the horizontal stem. Sometimes this is a horizontal stem, this is a node. They can also arise from here also. Okay. So for example, grasses. The main roots are of equal length. So all the roots, if we can say the main roots, they are of equal length, and then they further branch off and become thin, thread-like. So that is why they are called fibrous roots. Since they do not penetrate deep in the soil, what are we calling them? They are called surface feeders. We call them as surface feeders. Okay, so they are not going very deep in the soil. So let us see the photo of a fibrous root. Can you see? So this is the end of the stem, and from here can you see the cluster of the fibrous roots which have appeared, right? So these are the fibrous roots. Coming to the last type of roots, adventitious root system. Adventitious root system, the first point you have to remember, can be seen in both monocots and dicots. So can be seen in both monocots and dicots, because this adventitious root system, it is for special type of functions. So it is like something specially made for certain adaptation, for certain special function. So it can be seen in both dicots and monocots depending on their needs, right? So one main thing, adventitious root system never arises from radicle, never arises from radicle. So it is never arising from the radicle. Except radicle, it can arise from any part. It can arise from any part. Any part. Okay, that any part can be what? It can arise from hypocotyl, stem base, stem nodes, internodes, leaves, etc. Okay, but they will not develop from radicle. They can be underground also, they can be aerial also. So some adventitious roots, they are underground, some can be aerial, above ground. Grasses, monstera, banyan tree. So banyan tree is showing the main root system also, taproot system, which is the main root system. But from the branches of the banyan tree, there arises some prop roots or pillar roots, which are like balancing the huge canopy. Banyan tree has a huge canopy. So for supporting that, from the branches, special type of adventitious roots called proper pillar roots, they also arise. Now in some plants, when branch and leaf cuttings are placed in soil, roots can arise from them also. So we cut a leaf of Sansevieria and so many adventitious roots start arising. Then you can place them in soil and a new plant is formed. So vegetatively propagating. Okay, vegetatively propagating. So for example, rose, sugarcane, Sansevieria, coleus, they can show adventitious root system. So adventitious root system like this. So you must have seen this plant, this is called Sansevieria. So if we do a leaf cutting, then can you see these adventitious roots arising from the leaf cuttings? So vegetative propagation. And if we cut a branch or a stem portion, then again new roots can be formed. So these roots which are formed from a cutting, from a leaf cutting, stem cutting, they are also called adventitious roots because they are not arising from the radicle of the seed. Okay, they are arising from any part. Now there is a interesting line that fibrous roots, they are adventitious in nature because they originate from the base nodes of a stem. That means they are not rising from the radicle directly. So can we say that fibrous roots, which were the characteristic feature of monocots, are they also a type of adventitious root? So answer is yes, because they are also rising from the base of the nodes or from the base of the stem. So yes, they can be considered as adventitious type of root. But why we have kept them separate? Because they are the characteristic feature of most of the monocots. So most of the monocots, they are showing fibrous root. So we have kept them apart. Okay. What are the functions of roots now? What are the functions of roots? Let us see the functions of roots. So roots are performing several type of functions. First, you can see that anchorage. So root, they are fixing the plants to the soil. They are supporting the aerial shoot system. They help in absorption and transport of water. So they absorb water and mineral salt from the soil and then they deliver it to the shoot system. Then prevention of soil erosion. Roots, they can hold the soil particles, and then during rainfall they can prevent the soil erosion. So they protect the fertile upper top layer of soil. Okay. Storage. Some roots can become modified, they can become fleshy, and they can store food. For example, carrot, radish, turnip. Okay, so they can store food. Extra mechanical support. For example, buttress root, prop roots, stilt roots, they can provide extra support to the plant. So sometimes roots, they appear from various other parts like branches, stem nodes, and they provide a supportive system for the plant. Usually the plants having weak stem or huge canopy, right? Then some roots, they help in nitrogen fixation. So these type of roots, they have nodules, and within these nodules nitrogen fixing bacteria are seen, and one such example of the plant is soybean. Reproduction. So some roots have adventitious buds which give rise to new plants. So they are helping in reproduction. What type of reproduction? Asexual. Asexual reproduction. They are not forming gametes. Then photosynthesis. Some roots, very exceptional cases, Trapatinopora. So some roots become green and they secrete chlorophyll, and then they perform photosynthesis. But such roots are present above the soil, or they are present in such plants who are like the roots are floating in the water, so that they can get sunlight for photosynthesis. So photosynthetic roots, Trapa. Then synthesis of plant growth regulator, phytohormones. So they synthesize cytokinins, they can synthesize auxins, etc. So phytohormones. So this was the chart which was showing us functions of the roots. Is it clear to everyone? Is it clear to everyone? Okay. Coming to stem now. Basic features of stem. What is stem? See, stem is that portion which is arising from plumule. Okay, stem arises from where? Stem arises from the plumule of the embryo. They are negatively geotropic, that means they will grow against gravity. They are positively phototropic, that means they will go and grow and bend towards the light. So positively phototropic. They are aerial, they are erect, and they form the ascending axis. Roots were forming the descending axis, they are forming the ascending axis. Now these stems have a special type of property, that these stems are divided into specific regions which we call as nodes and internodes. So have you seen a sugar cane? So the portion which you are eating is internode, and the portion which is forming the margin is the node. So nodes and internodes. Internode elongation help in the increasing length of the stem. What is the function of nodes? Nodes are the region where leaves are born. So what are nodes? They are the regions where leaves will be born. And internode are the region which is the portion between two nodes. Portion between two nodes, right? What are the main functions of stem? What are the main functions of stem? What do stem do? So let us see main functions of stem. They spread out branches. So stem branches, they arise from the cortex. So this is epidermis. Within epidermis there will be cortex. Within cortex there will be pericycle. Within pericycle there will be pith. So they are arising from the cortex. Cortex is considered somewhat outer side because no xylem, phloem, etc. Are present, or no vascular activity. So if we see that the stem branches, they are exogenous in origin. Why they are called exogenous in origin? They are arising from the cortex region. That is why they are exogenous. Okay. So spreading out the branches. So stem branches, they are arising from the cortex exogenous. root branches, they were arising from the pericycle. The secondary and tertiary branches, they were arising from the pericycle. So they were endogenous. Stem branches, they are exogenous. Next thing, this stem portion further bear flowers, fruits, seed, buds, and it possesses vascular bundle, xylem phloem in it. So xylem phloem will be present inside the stem, in the stem portion. And this xylem and phloem, it help in conduction of water, minerals and food to all the parts. So root are absorbing, they are giving to the stem, and from the stem, it is spreading to all parts of the plant. Okay. So main functions of the stem. The stem branches are apogeotropic. That means neither they are going towards the gravity nor they are moving away from the gravity, right? So they are apogeotropic. Next point, what is a bud? What is a bud? So buds are like young, underdeveloped shoots. What are buds? They are young, underdeveloped shoots which contain growing points or meristematic cells, and they are covered by immature leaves. So if I make a bud for you, if I make a bud, how will it look like? So there will be some tiny leaves and they will be like covered, and within these tiny leaves we can see a meristematic region of cells. So this meristematic region, these are the tiny leaves, and this meristematic region is called SAM, shoot apical meristem, and these tiny leaves, they are covering the meristematic region, and this entire thing forms a bud. Okay, so buds are young, underdeveloped shoots which contain what? Growing points on a meristematic cells which are covered by immature leaves, right? On the basis of the position, if we see where the buds can be present. So buds can be present either on the end, terminal end. Here you can see a bud. If bud is present here, then it is called the apical or the terminal bud. Okay, what is it called? Apical or the terminal bud. And if buds are present like here, then they are called axillary or the lateral buds. Apical or terminal bud, the name says, present at the apex of the stem and branches and help in the longitudinal growth, and they are rich in auxins also. Okay, so what is making the plant taller? These apical buds. Okay, and they are present at the end of the stem, end of the branches, end of the stem, end of the branches. Okay, so help in elongation growth. But the axillary or the lateral bud, okay, they are helping in the lateral growth. Lateral growth means they will give rise to branch, they will give rise to flower. So their axillary bud is giving rise to branch, but the branch on the tip will be a apical bud. Okay, branch is arising from axillary bud, but on the tip of the branch, what will be present? Apical bud will be present. So these lateral buds, they help in the lateral growth, spreading of the plant, and they secrete various type of plant hormones, the main cytokinin. Okay, cytokinin. Apical bud is rich in auxin, axillary or lateral bud are rich in cytokinin. Sometimes some food storing fleshy buds are also seen. Bulbils they are called, or turians they are called. So they store food and they become fleshy. Then floral buds, they will give rise to flowers. Vegetative shoot buds, they will give rise to shoot. And if the buds are mixed, they can give rise to either flower or shoot. They can give rise to either flower or shoot. Both things. Can you see a photo of bulbil? Can you see a photo of bulbil over here? So fleshy buds, food storing buds, right? Okay. So we will continue with this topic in the next lecture. Learn all the things about root and till the portion of stem we have covered. So see you in the next class. Bye bye all of you.